Hello and welcome to today's podcast. In this episode, we're diving into the fascinating world of architectural representation through the lens of MVRDV. Founded in 1993 in Rotterdam, Netherlands by Wim Maes, Jacob van Ries and Nathalie de Vries, MVRDV is a globally renowned architecture and urban design practice celebrated for their bold, experimental and forward-thinking approach to building the cities of the future. But what truly sets them apart is their ability to communicate complex architectural concepts through their diagrams. These diagrams they post aren't just tools for professionals, they are visual narratives that invite people of all backgrounds to engage with architecture in a meaningful way. In this episode, we'll explore some of their most intriguing diagrams and discuss their educational value. So stay tuned as we unpack the power of MVRDV's visual language and discover what it means for architecture. The first we will see is a diagram that illustrates the design and construction process of the Market Hall in Rotterdam, a mixed-use building by MVRDV that combines residential apartments with a vibrant market hall. This diagram highlights the transformation from a simple arch shape into a multi-layered space. The step-by-step layering teaches us modular logic, aligning with MVRDV's philosophy of clear communication throughout diagrams. This design process shown here is divided into three phases. Phase 1 highlights modularity and repetition. In Phase 2, it is understood the multi-layered structure. In Phase 3, it is the finalized shell with a grid structure emphasizing geometry and symmetry. The clean monochromatic lines used by MVRDV in this diagram tells us to focus on clarity and precision communication. Also, the absence of color in the diagram ensures the viewer's focus remains on form, process, and structure rather than the aesthetic. However, in the final build project, MVRDV incorporates vibrant colors in the interior artwork, contrasting the gray tones of the structure. This diagram challenges the notions that complex architecture requires complex methods of expression. Let's move on to this other diagram that illustrates MVRDV Valley Project in Amsterdam, a mixed-use development that blends urban density and natural forms. Located in Zuidas, it serves residents, businesses, and visitors. This diagram is a part of a group of diagrams posted by MVRDV that explains this project, but the reason I chose this one is because I think this gives the most of them all. What first catches the attention in this diagram is the color palette. The diagram uses color coding to illustrate the layering of functions across the structure and hierarchy. Yellow for housing, blue for offices, pink for retail and dining, gray for parking and technical spaces. This diagram also shows us clearly the design idea and its form, a valley carved by erosion. The block of fragmented geometry reflects natural rock formations, reinforcing the concept of it. Next, I chose this diagram that illustrates the design process of the Tianjin Binhai Library because it emphasizes how the design process evolves step by step. We can see that the process is broken into parts, highlighting how a simple rectangular mass transforms into a dynamic architectural form. The design process is served so clearly. It visually simplifies the architectural thought process for clearer communication. It starts with a site, extrusion, then a void is introduced for circulation, further shaped through a push and connection. Terraces enhance outdoor interaction, while louvers and skylights focus on light management and sustainability. The diagram uses clean lines to represent distinct aspect, rigidity, and dynamism, and symbols like arrows and dots to convey transformation, movement, connection, voids, and minimal colors. The mostly black and white palette highlights essential elements like green dots for vegetation and yellow for sun. Now we see this sectional diagram that represents a dynamic public building called the Depot, likely influenced by MVRDV's approach to innovative and community-focused design. This section blends technical precision with illustrative storytelling. In this diagram, the internal spatial organization is clear, emphasizing vertical circulation, modularity, openness, and connectivity. It is understandable that the structure integrates functional spaces with human-centric design, shown by human figures incorporated here. Since the project is an exhibition space, the usage of central atriums and staircases to encourage movement are shown here with clear visual elements. The muted color palette highlights the material and the spatial flow. Subtle colors draw attention to greenery on terraces and human activity. On the other hand, strong, clean lines outline the structure, while lighter lines indicate interior details. The contrast between bold and light lines help differentiate structural elements. Figures and furniture represent human interaction, making the space relatable and dynamic. The last diagram illustrates MVRDV's conceptual design process for adapting a building's form into its local context, called the Schindel glass farm. This is a diagrammatic series using minimalist visuals to convey the step-by-step process of adapting a generic building mass into a form inspired by traditional architecture. The process begins with a generic maximum volume, which is then refined to reflect the proportions of traditional local farmhouses. The diagram uses clean lines, white lines on a black background to emphasize the transformation stages, and with dashed lines indicating potential boundaries. A stark black and white palette is used for clarity, focusing on form without distractions. Human figures are also scaled to represent proportionality and also grounded design in human use. This iterative process balances maximizing usable space with respecting local heritage, blending modern design and cultural identity. That brings us to the end of today's episode. After exploring those 5 diagrams, I think it's safe to say that their work is nothing short of inspiring. As future architects, we have so much to learn from MVRDV, not only about how they design, but also how they explain design. For me, the brilliance of their diagrams lies in how they teach us to think visually, breaking down big ideas into simple, colorful representations that anyone can engage with. It is a reminder that architecture isn't just about building structures, it's about communicating ideas and connecting with people. These diagrams have taught me a lot about representing architecture and sharing thoughts in a way that's creative and approachable. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with friends, classmates, or anyone who loves architecture as much as we do.